And rolling.
Hi, Engel with the Atlantic Rancher Company. Coming to you from our shop today. Going to talk a little bit about our brand new collection of cotton polos, cotton long sleeve pullovers, and our cotton t-shirts. You've heard me talk about this in prior videos, specifically about, why do we believe our t-shirts and our long sleeve pullovers are superior to what's in the market today. And I will just tell you that it all has its origins and its beginnings in the type of cotton that you use. Our cotton comes from Peru. It's a brand called Tanguis. Tanguis was developed by a gentleman in Peru in the early 1900s. It's a particular strain that he developed to combat the plague and the fungus that was attacking the cotton plants, where they could only process and grow the cotton once or twice a year. This strain of the fungus-resistant seeds and the application of that allowed the farmers to have up to 6 seasons per year. But it also created a very, very strong and durable cotton. So you kind of start with that in and of itself. Then, of course, it's what do you do with it from there? There's a lot of ways you can go. The least expensive way is called a open-ended carded cotton, which has the least amount of processing, the least amount of touching to it, all the way up to what we do, which is a cotton that is ring spun and then combed. So you can have just combed cotton, or you can have ring spun combed. That is the most processed. So when I say processed, it's taking out the impurities that cotton by its nature has, and it's taking out all those short fibers, and what is left is that longer fiber, which inherently is stronger. It's softer, it's smoother, and it's more durable overall. We also use a yarn that's called 20 doubles. So it's 2 pieces of yarn, a size 20 gauge, and 2 of those yarns are twisted together versus a single yarn. And you can have anything from a gauge 12 up to a gauge, whatever you want, 30s or 40s. Again, ours is a 20 gauge doubles. And yet the combination of those things is what ultimately allows us to create a really, really durable, dry hand feeling t-shirt. But what I want to talk to you about today is something that I keep seeing over and over again by many t-shirt manufacturers. And you may have heard the term itself. It's called tubular construction. And they tout tubular construction as being the best, the most sophisticated, the most premium way that you can build a t-shirt. And I'm going to tell you that it is probably the biggest piece of horse doo-doo I have ever heard in my life. It's the equivalent of saying, you know what, we could use radial tires, but we're going to use bias ply tires. Well, everyone knows that bias ply tires were done away with by radial tires because they were so much better. So the equivalent here of tubular construction to cut and sew, which is what we do, is what's being marketed out there. And I'm going to dissect this for you so you can understand what that really is. In tubular construction, you have a knitting machine that knits a tube of fabric versus a knitting machine, a loom, that knits a flat roll of fabric. Just like you would a woven shirt, you do the same thing with a knitted fabric. This tubular construction uses this very expensive, very sophisticated machine called a tubular knit machine. And in essence, it doesn't create a flat fabric that comes off of rolls that has two ends. It creates, in essence, imagine this is the fabric that comes out of this machine, and it's literally a tube of fabric. It has no seams on the side. It's tubular, no seams whatsoever. So this fabric, and I'm gonna just, it comes off like this, and then of course it's flattened out like this and put on a cutting table. So it ultimately looks pretty much like this, and the tubes are probably I would say 2 feet across or thereabouts, something like that. So this comes off the machine, the tubular machine, and then at some point in the process, these tubes of fabric are cut in tranches like this. Let's say that's going to be a 30-inch piece, and then here's another piece. Okay, so now we have a piece of tubular constructed fabric that is approximately the length of a t-shirt. So imagine this t-shirt here, and this tube of fabric gets laid out over here, and it literally gets laid down, you know, like I just described it. Then you come along and you go, okay, well, let's make a t-shirt out of this. How do we do that? Simple. We lay across a pattern, and what we do here is we cut. Let's make a neck, and then let's cut some shoulders. We'll cut that, and then we'll come in here again and we'll cut some armholes, and we'll do another armhole over here, and boom. Okay. Then we come in with a laser cutter, perhaps, or maybe it's cut by hand. Can be cut many different ways. But you come in and you go, okay, let's go ahead and cut the armholes out. And boom, let's cut the shoulders out. Let's cut the other shoulder out. And we need another little armhole over here. Cut that out right there. And of course, we got to have a neck. We couldn't have a t-shirt without a neck now, could we? Okay. So there we go. Now we have the basic tubular construction pattern. Okay, as you can see here, there's no seams whatsoever, right? It's tubular. Okay, so then they come in and they'll sew on a sleeve here, and they'll sew on a sleeve here, and they'll sew on a neck, and you now have a t-shirt. Now, what size would you like this t-shirt to be? Well, the great thing about tubular construction is that you can use one tube to make 3, 2, however many different sizes you want out of that one tube. The girth, the circumference of the fabric is going to stay the same, and the only thing that's going to change is the shoulder point where this is cut. The armhole opening will grow or shrink depending on the size. And the same thing for the neck. But you can actually make from this blank, as they call them, 3 different sizes. Now, they do this because these tubular knit machines are really, really expensive. So instead of buying a machine for an extra small, a machine for a small, a machine for a medium, and so on and so forth, they'll just buy a machine that's in the middle. One machine to make an extra small, a small, and a medium. Then another machine will take off from there, and it will make the large, the extra large, and the double XL. So 2 machines allows you to make 6 different size t-shirts. The other thing that you'll see here is that because there are no seams, the wonderful benefit, so they say, of tubular construction, This comes down straight as just like a tube. Not there's no dimensionality that's created here to account for the normal size of a human torso, which is going to be wider here under the armpit and narrower as you come down. When you make a cut and sew t-shirt, you're actually working with two different pieces of fabric like this. You have a, let's say, a front, and you have a back. And what you actually do from here is you lay out a pattern, and you actually you trim it like this, and you trim it like this, so that it's going to have a shape that is modeled after the shape that you want. The same thing is true for the neckline, the shoulder, and the armhole opening. Then what you do is you actually use a sewing machine and you stitch the front and the back together. It's called cut and sew. This results in a much better, ultimately much better fitting shirt. You're not going to be wearing a bag, in essence, that is the cookie cutter equivalent of making a t-shirt. So I hope I haven't confused you. I hope I've been able to shed some light on the fallacy that's out there about the wonders of tubular construction. Thanks for listening.